be artificial intelligence. I know there is a lot of a hype about what artificial intelligence is, and I know there are a lot of companies out there, for example, Claude, GPT, Chat, Microsoft, Copilot, and many others like Grok also. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to see if I can explain you artificial intelligence from the ground up. There's not going to be any hype. There's not going to be any buzzwords, just real clear explanations. Hopefully, by the end of this, you will know exactly what AI is from a high level. I'm not going to go into details as I'm learning myself. So as I grow, I will make an effort that I put out the lessons and share them. Okay. So let's go ahead and dive into this further. At its simplest, AI is the ability of machine to perform tasks that are normally performed by human intelligence. For example, you take your car to a workshop, right? Oil change. There is human intelligence, which is involved in doing that. You're getting your fuel injection cleaned up. There is human intelligence which is involved in that. Okay. So at so what happens is that AI basically recognizes all of this, all of the tasks which are being done, it recognizes it, it learns it. Also, for example, it recognizes face, it understands speech, and then based on all of that data it collects, it makes decisions, or it also translating a language based on, the data. I know in Copilot, if I type in Japanese, it translates it to English right away. So now here's the key thing to understand. AI is not magic. It's math. It uses calculus. It uses derivatives. You take a image and then you basically take derivative of that image. Okay. And those derivatives are basically predictions. Okay. How the next image is going to be and so forth. So it depends on patterns. It's a machine that has been trained on a massive amount of data. It uses that training to make predictions. So in other words, AI is learning from whatever you feed in, it learns. It learns, it has massive data information from the World Wide Web. Also, when you type something in, okay, if it has it in its database, it'll give you an answer right away. But if it doesn't, it goes out to the internet and fetches the data and then provides it to you, translates it to you in a language which you can understand. So, another example I can give you is that think of, when you were a child, okay? When you were a kid, you learned what a dog looks like. Not because someone gave you a rule book, but because you saw hundreds of dogs, big ones, small ones, fluffy ones, and your brain built a pattern. AI does exactly the same thing, just with data instead of experience. Okay. Now let's go ahead and dive into section two. Section two is basically this diagram right here. If you look at the diagram, I have deep learning neural networks, machine learning, learn rules from the data, artificial intelligence, any machine doing something intelligent. So by now, you've probably heard terms thrown around AI, machine learning, deep learning. People use them interchangeably, but they're actually nested inside each other. Like, for example, Russian dolls. AI is a big umbrella. Any machine doing something intelligent inside the machine learning, right here, where instead of programming rules, you feed the machine data and let it learn the rules on its own. So you're not actually programming it, you're basically feeding the data. Okay. And inside machine learning is deep learning, which uses something called neural network, modeled loosely after human brain to handle really complex tasks like image recognition or language understanding. So, in other words, if you think of it, there are in our brain, there are billions and billions of artificial neural, and these neurons, artificial neurons, interact with each other. And that's how we make decisions and that's how we think. Okay. So AI is kind of like simulating how our brain has artificial neurons and how they interact with each other. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. And it's going to get more fascinating, with time. Now we move on to the section 3, which is going to be this right here. There are three main ways, okay, for machine learning. Number one is supervised learning, okay? This is the most common one. You give the AI labeled data. For example, thousands of emails labeled spam or not spam. Then AI finds the patterns and now it can classify new emails on its own. Your Gmail spam filter, for example. That is supervised learning. So that I gave you an example of supervised learning. Number two is unsupervised learning, cluster. Okay. No labels required. Find the hidden patterns. Example is Netflix recommendations. So you go to Netflix, let's say you watch a mystery movie. All right. Next time when you go and log into your Netflix account, it's going to give you suggestions for mystery movies. Okay, so that's unsupervised learning. Number three, reinforcement learning. Okay, this is trial and error approach, reward, penalty signals. Example is chess, go all. AI has played chess so many times that it has mastered the chess game. That's why nobody has been able to beat the chess to best of my knowledge. Okay. So basically the AI, what I'm trying to say is that AI learns by trial and error. For example, like a video game, it gets rewarded when it does something right and penalized when it does something wrong. This is now AI learned to beat the world's best chess and Go players just by playing millions of games against itself. So AI is training itself in the background. Okay. Now, three different styles of learning, and depending on the problem, engineers pick uh, one that fits. Okay. So let's look at AI in the real world. So we move on to the next section, which is this right here. So this is real world. You interact with AI dozen times a day. For example, you unlock your face on your phone book, on your iPhone. That's unlock. Spotify, Netflix. Example is unsupervised. Fraud detect. Okay. So that's an anomaly detection. Okay. Anytime, when your credit card company detects that this is not your pattern, right? This is not your pattern. That's not how you go out and do shopping. Something is unusual. So AI basically sends a prompt right away saying might be fraud. Okay. Voice assist, Chat GPT, Claude. Claude is one which I used. In my opinion, Claude has the highest IQ. Okay. We can use that in NOC environment, network operation center environment, and we can get to the root cause analysis. That is Claude I'm talking about. Based on my experience, that is the one which has fascinated me. So now